Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Brie from With Live Brie, and today I thought I'd hop on and do a quick tutorial. I'm hoping it's quick. This tutorial is 110% inspired by Bona, who is livelovescrap here on YouTube. I will make sure to leave her original video linked down below. But for today's video, I wanted to share with you guys something that I made for one of my design teams, and I was super excited that it turned out the way that I wanted it to. So the only thing that I changed about Bona's journal is I created a shaker pocket for the cover and the back cover. And I thought I'd put a tutorial out in case you guys had any questions on how I created the covers. I made it to where I attach the covers straight onto the spine, where you don't have to use two full sheets of acetate and fold it over. The reason being is because I did use Bona's no hinge or hidden hinge envelope journal like tutorial, and it's a lot easier if you can glue paper to paper and not paper to acetate. So what I wanted to do was somehow have a paper spine, so that way I can make the hinges and have to just use glue and not have to worry about figuring out, like, you know, using hot glue or whatever to stick onto acetate, because sometimes hot glue does not stick to acetate. So I went ahead and I figured out a way that I could do it so that I could just do glue in or paper to paper and have a sturdy spine and still have that shaker effect. I've seen other people make the journals with, again, a full sheet of acetate and they just fold or scored it to make the spine, but again, I didn't want to have to do that just because of the inserts. So we'll go ahead and just quickly get started. Alright, so I did have to make a template, and the reason being is because I needed to see what my covers were going to be sized at, and the spine, because the spine I do need to add an additional ½ inch just because it's going to be folding over both ends. So I did make like a little template for myself. But we'll go ahead and just get started. I did forget to cut out my spine, or my little closure, so I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut my spine, which I measured to be 2.5. This is a scrap piece of paper. Okay. And then we'll score that. Alright, so let me show you guys the pieces. So these are the papers that I'm going to be using. You'll need 2 sheets of acetate, and your acetate is going to be measured at 3.5 by 4.5. You'll need 4 of them. So it's going to be for the front cover and the back. Again, it's going to be 3.5 by 4.5, and you'll need 4 of these. For the spine, I did use 2 pieces. You technically don't need the 2 pieces, but I did want it to be sturdy, and I did want my covers to be sandwiched in between 2, so that way you don't see the back of the acetate. You'll see what I mean by that. But anyway, these 2 measure 1 3/4 by 4.5, and I use single-sided sheets because these are going to be covered, so I didn't want to use up my double-sided papers. And then for the closure piece, this one was just like I said, 3.25, or like, what is it, 3/4 inch by 2.5, and that is that. For your envelope, I use the same as Bona because the measurements are the same as hers basically, and this sheet measures 6 by 6, and you would score the envelope at 2 5/8. You'll need it's good for 4 envelopes. However, if you look on your like punch board, I have this mini one and I have the larger one with the box. She used the larger envelope without the box. All the measurements for the 3x4 size are all different on each board. So that's the reason why I'm telling you the measurements, is because it'll still work if you use the board and not use the measurement on here, because the measurements don't matter. So again, cut your papers to 6 by 6 and you're going to score at 2 5/8. Don't worry about what it says on your punch board. If it says something else for a 3 by 4 card, just use the 2 5/8 punch. So we'll do the envelope punch board after. I'm going to go ahead and get the shaker piece set. Actually, let's start with scoring. So I'm going to use my scoring tool, and I'm going to score my pieces here. So you're going to score your spine, or the bottom piece for your hinge. Oh, that's what I forgot to cut out. Alright, you guys, I'm so lost. This is how you know I haven't done a tutorial in a while. These are my spine pieces. I will tell you guys the measurements for the spine pieces in a little bit. I actually forgot to cut out my hinges, so let me go ahead and cut the hinges out really fast, and then I'll tell you guys what the measurements are. Okay, you guys, so I did cut them out. I just threw them in my scrap bin thinking they were scraps. Okay, so I think these are the two. I just need to cut one down shorter. So one is going to measure 1 1/4 by 4 1/8. That is the bottom. The top one is going to be 3/4 by 4 1/8. So let me just cut this out real quick. I apologize for the messy video. That doesn't look like 3/4. Sure it is though. Okay. Alright. Should be right. Alright, so now for the hinges, the bottom piece that measures 1 1/4 by 4 1/8, you're going to score at 1/4 and 1 inch. So I score at 1/4 and 1, and that leaves you with 1/4 inch to fold upward. And this one I'm going to score, this was a 3/4 inch by 4 1/8, you're going to score at 1/4 and 1/2. Okay, so now that that's done, oh wait, we're not done with that. We're going to go ahead and score our other pieces. So this one, this is our spine piece. You're going to score your spine at 1/2 inch and 1 1/4. So this is going to be the outer part. I'm going to put 1/2 inch and 1 1/4. And again, that's going to give you 1/2 inch on both ends. And we're going to do the same thing here. 1 1/4 and 1/2 inch. Okay. And I score my pieces if I'm folding. So when I score, I fold away from the score line because it doesn't crack or anything. And so I'm going to be folding this back this way, so that's the reason why I flipped it over. But I mean, that's personal preference, that's just how I score. So there's that. And then for the 3/4 inch by 2 1/2 inch piece for your closure piece, you're going to score it at 1 and 1 3/4. I scored it wrong, or I cut this wrong. It's not supposed to be 2 1/2. It's supposed to be at 2 3/4. Sorry. I'll make sure to have that edited measurement on the screen before you see this. So it should be 2 3/4. Alright. So that is that. I'm gonna clean this up because this again was a scrap piece. Alright. So what I'm going to do is fold all my pieces up. Alright, so basically these are going to go like that. Cool. So now that we have all our pieces folded, and go ahead and press them down with foam folder so that they're creased very well. Sometimes with the single-sided sheets, they're not as crazily like heavy, I feel. So I don't really score those down. But anyway, okay, so I already stitched one of these, and as you guys can see, I only stitched on 3 sides. So I left one of the longer ends open, and that's because I'm going to be sewing this to the spine, and after I fill it, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this one, but I'm going to show you guys what I do. So because it's acetate, it's definitely going to be sliding around at first. So what I like to do is I just like to use some like clothespins, or if you guys have your sewing pin or like clips. I just use these ones that I've had in my stash for so long. They're like plastic clothespins from Target. And again, you're going to leave one long side open, so I just pin, actually, do this. Like this. Okay, so I have it like this, and basically this, I'm going to start by sewing this side first, which is why I kept this open. So I'm going to start by sewing this down first, take these pins out, sew this, take this pin out, and sew this. This will keep it together. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly do that so I can show you guys how it looks afterward, which is basically going to be the same as this. Alright, y'all, so here it is. Sewn. I went ahead and I backstitched both ends here for both of them, even though they're really going to be sewed down, but I just did it anyway. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally trim off the ends. Oh. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and fill it and make sure you know which side was the front and what was the back. And when I do mixes for collections, I always do a mix before I work with the collection, so that way I have one set. I have 2 for this collection. I have just like a pink set that has like pink and gold, and then I have another set that has like blues and greens, because some of the papers I like to combine and some of them I don't. So like if I keep it all pinks, then I use this. If I add some blues and greens, I will mix with this one. So for this particular one, I think I'm going to use the ones with the green, and the reason being is because okay, sorry about that, y'all. So I left off saying like I was going to show you guys the envelopes later as to why I'm using this specific like set of sequin mix. So as my camera died on me, I went ahead and I just filled one pocket with some of these sequins. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill up this other pocket right here. And I'm not going to get too crazy with it because I don't want it to be like too chunky, I guess. Like I kind of think this might be too much. It's okay. It'll be fine. Sorry if you hear Kalea, she's my little sister. They are in her playpen, or her little play area. I'm going to add a fern here. I know I said I was going to add a lot, but here we go. Alright. So just figure out, which one you want to be as your front piece. And your back. Back. Alright. So, alright, so now decisions. Don't know. Okay, we'll just have this one be the front. So what I'm going to do is, I hope this is going to make sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put adhesive on the inner parts of this piece here. And I will show you because I'm going to use red line tape, and I'm going to do that to this as well. So here's my red line tape. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the inside part here. Just going to turn this off. Okay. Alright, y'all, so... Okay, so here is my outer spine. And what I did was I went ahead and I put adhesive on, this is the 1/2 inch part, as you guys can see. I put it on the inner part. The reason why is because I'm going to be sewing mainly on this outer piece. Is that? I think I might have messed up. Let me see. Ooh, yeah, I messed up. So you should be putting the adhesive on the outer part. Sorry, I totally brain fart. You should be putting the adhesive on the outer part of it, just because when you sew it, you don't want this adhesive, especially the red line sticky tape, to go on your needle. Obviously, I just messed up, but it's fine. So, yep, I guess I'm gonna have to do what to do. Hopefully this will adhere on pretty well, which I'm pretty sure it will. I think, just to be sure, I am gonna just put some adhesive on the center. Just because I don't want it to be popping up, you know? Especially if you give it to somebody and it starts to tear apart. So, just to play it safe. But, yeah, you're going to put it on the outside, not the inside. The outside. Obviously, I haven't done a tutorial in a while. Totally different than a process video. Okay. One more. Alright, so I do one side at a time because it's sequins, and if you try to do both, they're just going to come out. So, let me show you guys what I'm going to do. Alright, so starting with the outer spine, take off, start with the cover, so that's the left side, and I'm just going to remove this backing. And what I'm going to do is take, okay, I don't remember which one was my front, I'll just make this on the front. Alright, this is going to go up against, okay, so you guys can see my adhesive is here. This is going to go right up against this 1/2 inch right here. So let me show you guys. Just do that real quick. I like to fold my piece up like this. I fold my piece up like that, so that way I can make sure it's like flush with my shaker. So this is gonna get put onto here. Alright, and I'm just gonna fold it over to just close it in. Alright, and then what I'm gonna do next is take the inner part of my spine and I'm gonna glue down this side. So when you flip it over, it's gonna be the right side because it's gonna be the opposite. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that. And for this, because it's kind of hard to have this flipped and then have this go down because it'll spill, I just line up the bottom of this to the bottom of this one right here. So, line it up. Alright. And that is temporarily adhered. This can still move around. I'm going to go ahead and work on this side next, so I could sew all together. I'm going to move this down. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just make sure you're putting the right side. I'm just going to do this. Alright, so like that. I'm just going to make sure the sequins go down, because when you sew it, you don't want any sequins in the way. Go ahead and peel that off and just fold it over. It's crawling right out of my room. Okay. And then I'm just going to bend this so I could. So now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew this outer part. I'm going to just sew right up a little bit below the 1/2 inch score mark. I'm just going to finish off the stitch on both sides. Alright, so I went ahead and I sewed it, and as you guys can see, it looks complete. So it looks like you stitched around this whole piece right here. I did back stitch both ends right here and here, just like I did with the acetate, just so that way it stays shut. And now it's done. So there's that. And now we have a paper spine that we can use for our hinges, and we don't have to have any problems with any glue having to stick to acetate. So hope this tutorial helps you guys, because honestly I'll be messing up a lot on it, so I apologize. Scooch these on over. Okay, so now we're going to work on the little hinges. So this is the inner part of our book. We're going to go ahead and just fold on our, and as you guys can see, I got really close to the score there. I was not paying attention, but anyway, okay, so look at it shake. Super cute. Alright, now what we're going to do is glue our hinges down. So we're going to glue this piece down first, and this goes right in the center. It's literally going to be right in the middle. So what I'm going to do is use some liquid glue, and this is my Barely Arts glue. They come in a little like bear jar, which is really cute, but I put it in this bottle, and I used the tip that comes in the regular size bottle and put it on here, and it works perfectly. So I have a huge bottle of it. Yeah, so go ahead and just line this up, and just make sure that the top and bottom have some space, because you want to make sure they're lined up correctly. We're just going to glue that down. We're just going to use my bone folder to make sure it's stuck on there. Just make sure it folds. Cool. Perfect. Alright. So there's the first hinge. This one here is going to get glued right in the middle. Oops. So we're going to go ahead and glue this. Oh my gosh, everything's falling. Alright, and I'm just going to make sure this. Alright, there we go. There's the center of the book. So literally you're going to put your bottom piece down first. You're going to make sure you have about 1/4 inch on both ends. Then you're going to take your center piece and you're going to line that up in the center and just make sure the ends meet on top and bottom. And those are your hinges. Again, Bona has probably a better tutorial on doing that part. Mine is basically for the shaker part, the covers. But yeah, I thought I'd put one whole thing together with you guys. So now we're going to move on to the envelopes. So the envelopes, we're going to set this aside. I'm going to bring in this mini envelope punch board, and this is my 6x6" piece of paper using the Maggie Holmes Marigold collection. And under a heavy jar, I put down 3 envelopes that I already put together, and these are the patterns that I chose. So sequins match pretty well with that. Alright, so now we're going to make our 4th one. Thought I'd make one with you guys at least. So the first score, and I've explained this before in one of my tutorials, which was my little like my double envelope like embellishment tutorial, but the first punch that you make is going to be your longest side, so it's going to be either your top or your bottom, whichever you make it. So just know that when you have a piece of pattern paper, this corner here is going to be the top or the bottom of your piece. I usually make it the top because it's then easier to know like when it folds down what it's going to look like. So put this on my top. Okay. And I use double-sided papers for my envelopes, so that way the inside is already decorated. But anyway, this is a 6x6 piece of paper. You're going to score and punch at 2 5/8. And I'm just using the mini punch board. You can use whatever you have. I'm only using this because I don't like bringing out the big ones during making videos because it takes up space. So I like to use the mini one, unless it has like excess on the edge. This wasn't too much, so I didn't mind it. Then I would use the big one. But this is just convenient for videos. So anyway, yeah, so now we're gonna go ahead and fold our corners or like our edges in. And you can take your bone folder off because you guys can see that's upside down. So I'll make this. Let me go ahead and glue this. I'm just gonna use my fine line glue. I put a line here on the inner part. Oh, actually, before you do that, it's up to you if you guys want this like pointed piece on the inside. I don't, so I always cut that. So I'm gonna use my adhesive scissors because I have glue on there. But I just lined the outer part of my scissors right here with the edge of the envelopes right here, these corners, to line it up. I know that sounds kind of confusing, but it usually ends up perfect. So that's how I do it. But anyway, so I'm just gonna glue that down. And the sun is setting, so I'm gonna try to finish fast. Alright. And there's our envelope. Sorry, they're outside my room. So there are the 4. And what I'm going to do is, this one's going to be first. I'm going to have it like this. Alright, so now what you're going to do is, after you have your envelopes made, take your paper trimmer and you're going to take the bottom of your envelope. You're going to line this edge up at 3 inches and you're going to cut whatever's left. So you guys can see it's lined up at 3. Just going to trim this up. So now you're left with this and an open bottom. That's trash. Do this for all 4. Totally forgot to do this off camera. And so now I have those. We're going to glue them onto the hinges. So you're going to bring in the journal, your book, and you're going to take your first hinge here towards you, towards the front. This one here. And you're going to take your first envelope, and you see the opening here. I put liquid glue on the outer part of the first hinge and the inner part because it's easier. So, alright, so you guys can see there's glue on the inside and the outer part. I'm going to take my envelope, center it between the top and the bottom, and you're going to put it right above the hinge. You're going to insert the hinge into the empty part of the envelope, like the opening. So you're going to put the hinge inside of here. In here. And I push all the way down until I know my envelope is touching the touching my spine, and then I push it down. So as you guys can see, the hinge is hidden inside of the envelope now, and the envelope is now shut on the inside. And to make sure it's creased down, I like to fold it down like this. And then fold it this way. And use a bone folder. I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other. You're going to open up the bottom of your envelope. You're going to open this up. Slide the hinge in the inside, making sure your top and bottom are lined up with the spine so it's even. Press it up against your spine, and once it's pressed against the spine, you can pinch it and adhere it all together. And then for extra security, I press it down for a couple seconds, and then you push this down, and I push down with it with a bone folder. You put your pattern paper facing up because it will show. So as you guys can see, in between the two envelopes, the hinge shows. Oops, just like this one. Anyway, yeah, so go ahead and finish this. Alright, cool. Now we have all the envelopes in. As you can see, there's the spine. Alright. So, and if you want to round your ends of the envelopes, you could do that too beforehand. I'm going to go ahead and work on the closures for the journal and the envelopes. I'm going to use these from Hobby Lobby. These are only $2.99, and when Sewology is on sale for 50% off, it's like $1.50, so it's worth it. And they're tiny, and one side is clear, so it's not like those ones from Dollar Tree, and they are pretty small, but I do use the ones from Dollar Tree, don't get me wrong, but I do still like to use these for smaller projects, like this one. So we're going to go ahead and just do the envelopes real quick. With these ones, you do have to trim these off. So, because they are connected, so I just cut. What I like to do is connect them. And I do cut this. So now I'm going to go ahead and work. I do add hot glue to these to just make them more secure. So I always put hot glue here first, and then down here. Alright, and then take some more glue. down. Move on to the next one, let that one dry. Okay, so there's that. Now, before you put this together, if you want to do your closure beforehand and sew it here, you can. However, me, I just glue it with hot glue because I got lucky and this does not come off. So I use it when my hot glue is super hot. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down first. I'm just going to put some glue there. And I'm just going to center it. Make sure you're folding it so that way you know you're not too far from it. And luckily with sewing, there's a little bit of a gap, so you can kind of push it through like that. Alright, so now that that's glued on, I'm going to put this one on with a, okay, so I'm just going to put some hot glue that way now. Make sure it's centered on there. Alright, and then again, just put some glue on there. And I'm just going to close this. Make sure that when you do the closure, your journal is opened to enough to where this isn't like going all wonky and stuff, if that makes sense. So we'll just let that dry. Alright, and then you could decorate it. So here are the two variations. I will have this one posted for sure because this is part of a design team for Buttons Galore and More. So check that out. You guys can see I did decorate it. But this one right here is all finished. You guys can see the sequin. And then when you open it, there's a hidden hinge. And then the envelopes have the Velcro closure. It's clear on top. You can put goodies in here, letters, whatever you like. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this tutorial. I'm sorry for the mess ups, but definitely if you guys have questions, just leave them down below. And I hope this helped you guys out. If you guys are interested in seeing Bona's original video, I will make sure to have her video linked down below as well. But yeah, I hope you guys make these. If you guys make any of these, definitely tag me in it. I love seeing when you guys create things using my tutorials. It just knows that it helped you. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, whatever day it is that you guys are watching this. If you guys are interested in my Instagram, it'll be linked down below. But I hope that y'all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!